welcome you to another heartwarming episode on Law and You, and the nitty-gritty about the law, the concept of the law, and how to bring light into shady areas from the basic reason for the purpose for this whole issue concerning how to bring about respite in the direction of the viewers on the program Law and You. My name is Philip Omogyupo. Today, we're going to be looking at a very sensitive issue as regards the NLC and the TUC planned Tuesday strike, and reports have it already that the National Industrial Court has already taken the whole act of making sure that an interim injunction is given to restrain the labor NLC and TUC in that umbrella from embarking on the strike scheduled for November 14, which is Tuesday this week. Looking at all of this, the need to bring respite in the direction of the labor union, and of course the hiccups that the country have been faced with, I have with me a seasoned legal practitioner, a human rights activist, a constitutional lawyer, and he is Alakwe Mbanefo. Thanks for joining me, Alakwe.
Thank you very much.
We've been following the trend about the industrial action, and of course the need for us to bring respite in the direction of the workers following the development that happened at Imo State and the brutalization of the NLC President Joe Ajero and the demands given by the NLC for which the federal government should meet their demands. Failure to do that, there will be a total strike that they will embark on Tuesday, November 14. But all of these demands seem not to have been met, and so basically the reason why the NLC has decided to embark on the total strike coming tomorrow, Tuesday. Now, what is your thought as regards the legality of NLC embarking on this total strike, and of course the restraining order given by the National Industrial Court? What is your thought as regards the genuinity of purpose in that order?
Yeah, the Labour Congress, like you know very well, is a union that is established to protect the interests of Nigerian workers to the extent that their welfare becomes the major focus as far as the rules and regulations guiding them is concerned. And especially whereby they feel that that welfare, their welfare is being threatened, or their well-being is being threatened, they have every right to protest, to ensure that those anomalies are corrected. It's a constitutional right to do so, to so do. It is a right to so do. And then the federal government on their own side also have the legal right to approach the court if they feel that their own interests may be jeopardized by the action of the industrial action of the labor union. Yeah. So in also trying to do that, the court is expected to make orders that are quite equitable, others that are most likely to protect the interests of both parties. Because what we're talking about is not a criminal charge, it's not a criminal matter, it's a matter that has to do with labor and the state and federal government. And so most times, giving court injunctions on issues like this don't solve the problem. Instead, it creates more problem. For instance, orders of court are meant to be obeyed.
Absolutely.
Yes, and when a judge sits down at his comfort zone and makes an order that becomes difficult to be obeyed, it becomes an embarrassment to the court itself. The truth of the matter is that there is this general lexicon that says that the court is the last hope of the common man. But recently, going by the way the court is going, you will not be asking yourself, is court actually the last word of the common man or the end of the road for the common man? And so, looking at the pressure that the state government, the government is going through, and labor union is going through, no responsible union will sit back and watch their leader being tortured the way I did or tortured in the way without reacting to it. And it's their right to react to it. And we expected some level of sober reflections on the side of government. And then going to court to get an order to restrain them from going on strike is a way of trying to beating a child and stopping the child not to cry. And we have expected that matters like this ought to have been referred by the court to alternative dispute resolution. The rules of National Industrial Court, has provision for ADI. And the judge of National Industrial Court is enjoined to explore that when matters before him is very sensitive like this one. And so for the failure of the judge not to have fallen back to the rules of that court, and then for making such recommendations for alternative dispute resolution, actually didn't work very, very well in favor of the court or even in favor of the government. Okay. Because when the people are pushed so much, they could react, and such reactions most times does not go down well with both the government and the union.
Okay. Before we delve deeply into the issues of the National Industrial Court, let's look at vividly how the development started in terms of the brutalization of Joe Ajaero. Some have said that it was wrong timing for Joe Ajaero to lead a protest in the period where political race for the governorship in Imo State was at its highest peak. But a big mind-boggling question again is, when would have been the right time? Do the laws provide the actual time for which a labor union can embark on strike?
Yes, the issue of time, the law didn't specify a particular time for protest to take place. Everything about the labor union and their protest depends on what actually is the challenges the labor unions are facing on a particular time. And those challenges that are passing through is always what triggers that protest. And so if at the time Ajaero was in Owerri, there was need for him to be in Owerri because of the cries of the workers in Imo State, it is incumbent on him as the leader of the union to be in Owerri. It is also incumbent on him to call for a protest so long as he gets the consent of all the institutions like police and other institutions that he needed to be informed that look, my union want to do a peaceful protest so and so time. And the Owerri case is becoming a little bit novel because from Ajaero's story, Ajaero is saying that it was when the crisis started, the police took him away and he felt it was in safe hands, only for the police to hand him over to the people that dealt with him. Quoting Ajaero after he was rescued, brutalized, And so then you now ask yourself, what is the duty of the police? The duty of police is to protect lives and properties of the citizenry. In a situation where there is crisis of that nature, we expect that any person with the police is supposed to be in safer hands. But if Ajaero's story is correct, according to him, that the police handed him over to, allegedly handed him over to those who brutalized him, it is quite unfortunate for the Nigerian police. And that angle again we're going to look at it is from the point of view that even before there were a crisis, the national NLC for 3 or 4 different occasions had threatened strike. And in each of the occasions, they always come back and say that, well, we are suspending the strike for so and so reason, and so and so reason.
Which seems to make their planned strike a joke.
Yeah, a big joke. For the first time, it didn't hold. The second time, it didn't hold. The third time, He did not. And so one therefore wonders what Ajero was doing already when the national strikes that they were threatening that was going to be called never took place. And so it therefore brings.
What was he doing in a way when he is from Imo State?
Yes, and again when the election,
what was he doing at home?
Yes, when the gubernatorial election was just by the side.
Okay.
Everywhere was tensed up, and politicians was trying to seek the votes of the electorate and all that. At that point, they are going to wait to protest. So that could also, be a wrong timing.
Oh, okay. But for the very fact that there's a political race at that level,
yes,
at the highest peak,
yes,
does it justify the reason for which he was brutalized?
Well, it doesn't. No reason will justify his brutalization.
No.
Otherwise, the labor has the right to express, their feelings at any time and any place. But we expect that Ajero would have known better.
Okay.
As a labor leader, that maybe at that point in time, it was not safe for anybody to start to, create such a tension in a state that was already tensed up because of election. And today, of course, you are aware that today the election took place today.
Of course, yeah, yes.
It
took place on Saturday. Indeed, on Saturday.
Yes. And so, God's willing, we are also looking at what the outcome of that election. But back to why we're here, I feel that there was no justification to brutalize Ajero. Ajero has the right to say all they want to say. He has the right to peaceful assembly and whatever, as enshrined by the Constitution and all that. Okay. So what happened in Imo State was quite unfortunate. Okay.
Now let's look at the interim injunction given by the National Industrial Court restraining labor from embarking on the total strike scheduled for tomorrow, Tuesday, November 14. Do you see the possibility of the labor union shunning that order, and what could be the implication of that if they do?
Yeah, the implication of that order, if they disobeyed, is contempt of court. Is the NLC will be in contempt of that order if they slip back on strike. We are in a democratic setup, and the orders of court are meant to be obeyed. The learned judge has made that order. It is left for the National Industrial Court, to labor union to obey the order. Alternatively, they can tell their lawyers to go back to court and ask court to vacate the order. And of course, naturally, orders of that nature, which are interim injunction, has its lifespan. Okay. And the lifespan is not more than 14 days. And so, labor union they have options. Okay. Either to go back to the court, asking the court to vacate the order, or wait for that order to expire before they can get back on the strike. Okay, quite interesting you're saying this. So which means the leeway they have could make them to relax and wait until 14 days? Yes. After which they take their lawyers back to the court? Yes. Okay, now. You can also ask the court, their lawyers to go to court before the 14 days. Okay, but peradventure, they also made the bricks by the federal government in terms of, because they can't take themselves alone to the court. Basically, the defendants will also be there, to also look into the case brought before them. So, peradventure, they also made a brick wall where the court refuses to give them a leeway to embark on the strike. What happens? Yeah, the lawyers will advise them appropriately. As far as that order remains, they are expected as law-abiding citizens to obey that order. Like the name of the order sounds, interim. Yes, interim. The order is quite interim. And so is instead of them to become victims of the law, common sense will have it that they should obey that law. Okay, at the expiration of 14 days, they are to institute another case for the vacation of the previous order. Yeah, if they have a case, they can ask court to look into the major matter. But for now, the order is interim. Okay. Yes. Let's look at the federal government and the level of commitment expected in order to assuage the feelings of the labor union as regards
the brutalization of the NLC president, because there's this slogan that says that an injury to one is an injury to all, and they say a stitching time saves nine. So for this extent of brutalization to be meted out on an NLC president, it means that the safety of all other workers are really lying on the string.
Well, it would be too premature to conclude on that or to agree with your position, because up till now, as we speak, nobody has owned up to that, to say that he was the person that brutalized Ajero. Everything about that story is a mere allegation. Though physically speaking, the man was brutalized. So, but if Ajero was brutalized, by who? That is the question. By who? He said, he was taken away by the police. Some people brutalized him. We must be able to identify, identity, the true identity of those that brutalized him, before we not know whether actually the steps being taken by NLC is in order or not in order. If the NLC is alleging the state government, or the Imo state government, or the agents or their previous as being the people that brutalized Ajero and his team should be able to prove it.
Okay, but ideally, if we are to go on that road in terms of investigating, who is expected to investigate such an issue? Because expectedly one we say is the police. But again, in the law jargon, I don't need to say that, memo judice in cautious while. You can't be a judge in your case. So why investigating a case for which you have already been indicted? So how do you take that?
Yes, it's an alleged indictment. The police have not been indicted by any tribunal or any court. Okay. The man that was brutalized is alleging police. Well, it's left for the court to prove whether it is actually the police or not.
But who investigates?
The police investigates.
Looking at the precarious situation before us, we are pointing fingers on the police by the brutalized. How do you go about it?
The lawyers to NLC can, if they don't have confidence in the Imo State Police, can ask the federal police to do the investigation. You can apply to the to the IGP, the General Police, to ask a particular squad in Lagos, in Abuja, to do that investigation. If they don't have confidence in the CP of Imo State, who have just been changed or transferred to another state.
Mohammed Babi.
Yes, and they don't have confidence in the Imo State Police. They have the legal right to apply to the IGP to ask any of the offices in Abuja's IG's office to do the investigation.
Okay, in case you're just watching this Law and You, and we are looking at the planned labor strike, the NLC and TUCs in particular are embarking on strike on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, and looking at the restraining order given by the National Industrial Court, the legal perspective surrounding this whole issues of labor strike is basically what we're looking at. And I've been discussing with a custodian of the law, a human rights activist, a constitutional lawyer, and he is Alakwe Mbanefo. Now let's stretch it a little bit, looking at the way to look at issues or the way to resolve issues pertaining to the National Industrial Court. For us not to have issues where it will be seen as if there seems not to be a power balance in terms of between the people or the labor union and the federal government. A situation where it seems all the power rests solely in the hands of the federal government. And you said in a particular slogan where it was said that, if the court that should be seen as the last hope of the common man is becoming the unbecomable, then what should the plight of the workers be, or Nigerians be, in the sense that the last hope of the common man seemingly being portrayed as the end of the road for the common man? So how do we look at it? How do we marshal issues out where the National Industrial Court will be seen, as portraying neutrality in terms of giving fairness to the labor unions that are embarking on the proposed strike?
Yes, it's very, 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 very worrisome, very, very disturbing when the people appear to be losing confidence on the judiciary. It is very disturbing when a group of people who feels that the judiciary should be protecting their legal interests, is now seeing judiciary as not doing anything at all.
Or being biased.
Or being biased, you know. In a democratic society like ours, you know, we expect that we expect an unbiased judiciary. Nigeria is not running a military administration. Nigeria is not running a military government. Nigeria is running a civilian government. But the situation whereby a civilian government is not having the ingredients of a military government, then the people are not secure. And so, the point I am making is that for any order being made by a court, the court must make that order judicially and judiciously. There must be some engagement and embellishment of equity in any order made by a court that is properly constituted.
Okay.
And so when a court is behaving in such a manner that probably shows that they are under the control of the executive, then you see that that democracy should be questioned. And so a court should be independent. Judiciary should be independent to the extent of making pronouncements that is protecting both the claimant and the defendant.
Okay.
But the situation whereby an order is made that looks as if it's protecting a particular party against the other party, it therefore means that that judiciary is being under the whims and caprices of the executive.
Okay.
And that is not good for the judiciary. And so the truth of the matter remains that a labor union has the right to exercise, you know, their feelings in any way they deem fit, so long as it does not, you know, disturb the peace of the people and is within the ambit of the law.
Okay. We've always peddled big reasons why, you know, the judiciary should be seen really as the last hope of the common man, but not the end of the road, like you said.
Yes.
But let's stretch it a little bit further and see the independence of the judiciary, because it has been argued that the judiciary, to some extent, is independent. But do you think so?
Yeah, the judiciary ought to be independent.
Or two?
But what we observe in this country, to a large extent, the judiciary appear to be at the mercy of the executive. And so, you know, where we are talking about independence of the judiciary, you also have to talk about how the judiciary, how are they being financed. The judiciary is the budget of the nation. Any amount ascribed to the judiciary is supposed to be under the control of the judiciary themselves and not the executive. And so it is not sufficient to make a pronouncement orally and say that judiciary is independent, while in the actual sense the judiciary is not independent.
Okay.
And so the CJN of the Federation is supposed to sit on top of the budget of the judiciary. The CJ of every state is supposed to do so. But the situation whereby the judiciary, the appointment of judges, for instance, is supposed to be left as a business of the judiciary.
All right, thank you so much. Big thanks, and that's the much you can take on today's topic. And I have been discussing with a human rights activist who is also a constitutional lawyer and a person of Alakwe Mbanefo. We do this same time next week where we could be looking at another topic, but we ensure that we also tell you to make sure that you go about your duties peacefully, and we just hope that maybe before the day falls to dusk, there could be another, you know, announcement as regards the NLC or TUC's continuous labor strike that is billed for tomorrow. I am Philip Omo Gyupo. Do have a beautiful day ahead of you. Bye for now.